Drew and KB continuing this Monday edition, shortened Monday edition. We're off at 5 o'clock today. We're happy to be joined by our pal Aaron Nagler of Cheesehead TV.com. Always carrying that G, no matter if the Packers lose for the first time in a blue moon to the Bears. Good afternoon, Nags.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Yes, nothing will stop the carrying of the G. Look, we're going to get past it. We're going to move on. We're going to go 1-0 against the Philadelphia Eagles, and all of this will be but a footnote. That's where I'm living right now.
Yeah, Nags, I'm not that upset by it. It was disappointing. I don't think the Packers are a bad team. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button. But someone needs to let them know that the middle of the field is playable too. Again,
brutal.
You were the first, Nags, when I saw that, you were the first person I thought of. And I said, I can't wait to talk to him tomorrow.
Just the idea that you're playing prevent defense, all they need is a field goal. You rush in three, you got three deep safeties, all three safeties taking steps backwards at the snap of the ball, just opening up the middle and saying, please,
unbelievable.
Let us lay out the carpet for you to arrive at a moment where you can kick a game-winning field goal. And Matt LaFleur today admitted that's something you call, if there are 12 seconds or fewer remaining on the clock. There were 15 seconds remaining, plenty of time to complete a quick slant over the middle, get into position, get down, and spike the football to set up a field goal attempt with 2 seconds remaining. It boggles the mind how they got themselves in that situation.
You could have set up the Eras tour in that secondary.
Well, and the absolutely most frustrating part of that whole sequence is the Bears come out in that look, that three receiver stack on the right, solo to the left, and the Packers call a timeout after seeing that set and go, okay, let's make sure we're all on the same page. And then they do absolutely nothing in response. The Bears come out in the exact same set, and there doesn't seem to be any response from the Green Bay Packers. That, to me, is mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing.
Our conversation with Aaron Nagler are brought to us by Rogers Behavioral Health, by Hildebrand Law, The Great Taste of Miller Lite, and by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Nags, that whole game was weird to me, and the fact that the Packers and Brandon McManus had one of the great kicks in Packers history that'll be forgotten, because that should have been a game winner in a game that was unfathomable for the Bears to lose, but they tried to hand it to the Packers, and the Packers said, no, we're stuffed.
No, please. That was like that, the old cartoons on, I think it was Warner Brothers, who they had the two chipmunks who, no, after you. Yes. No, after you. That was the Packers and the Bears yesterday trying to give the game away, essentially.
All right, so I'm going to hang a lot of this on the coaches because, and again, they were without their best players, but the coaches. But Nags, this was such a weird game, and I know the scoreboard was out there. It was in the ether that the Cowboys were threatening to beat the Commanders, which would have opened up. And so the Packers, it's not that they weren't trying, but the whole game had a feel of an extra exhibition game to me. It was
really
all we want to do is not get anybody hurt. Let's just not get anybody hurt. And it was like indifference and malaise, and the Packers didn't have a lot of juice from the get-go. It was weird.
It was absolutely bizarre. What kind of irks me, I guess I'd say, is heading into this game, Matt LaFleur was asked specifically, you're going to play your starters, you're going to play to win. And he said, yep, unless you're dealing with an injury, which obviously you don't want guys, to try and push stuff that they're trying to get through, just get to the playoffs healthy, etc. But yes, we're going to play our starters and we're going to play to win. But to your point, that certainly wasn't what transpired. And I know he said afterwards, the idea was to get a lead and then start pulling guys. Man, pick a lane. Either look at the Lions 2 weeks ago against the 49ers, where this game means absolutely nothing, but we're playing everybody. We're going out to win, and we're going pedal to the metal. Or look at the Chiefs yesterday, who absolutely pulled everybody, and we're like, this game means nothing, and it doesn't matter, and we're not going to even score a point, and then we're going to move on to the playoffs. But the middle ground here that LaFleur tried to walk, I don't know what they accomplished. I have no question. I have no clue what they accomplished in this game.
All they did was anger us and put bad tape out there
and they put Christian Watson out on the field, and now he's done.
Well, and speaking of injuries, yes, Romeo Dobbs's illness ended up contributing to the end of Christian Watson's season and likely going to hamper him into next season.
I mean, I'd be shocked if he's available at the beginning of the 2025 regular season. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It's 9 months is about the ballpark, right? So
I mean, it'll be a big surprise if he's available early next year.
And that's crushing. And Nags, I said before, and people might think it's 420 or something, but I think they miss him as much, if not more, than Jair.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because at least they've found a way of working on defense. Again, other than the final call of the game, which
Ugh.
I'll never understand, they played well enough to win on the defensive side of the ball, especially after the special teams gifted the Bears 7 points. Like the fact that the defense did the work it did yesterday, putting them in a position to win the game, especially there late with a phenomenal play by Carrington Valentine to cause the fumble and set up the Packers for the win. And then to your point earlier, the coaching staff just absolutely throwing it away, essentially. And if I'm a Packers player, I'm really frustrated after that game because I do think for everything that transpired, the game was there to be won. And both sides of the ball, the coaching staff absolutely punted it away.
You know what we need to do, though, too, or what they need to do is they need to interject a little bit of Vince Lombardi into the mix and make Jaden Reed carry a football around for a week.
Oh man, he's not alone though. I mean, I'm step back and you think about being Matt LaFleur, right? And all you're hearing from outside and maybe even inside, oh, we got to get Josh Jacobs going early. Oh, we got to make sure Christian Watson is involved. Oh, Jaden Reed's not getting the ball enough. Now we've gone a month with each one of those guys putting the ball on the ground. I mean, at some point, these players have to execute. And as a coach, you're sitting there going, I don't know what else I can do. There's no way they aren't, emphasizing it. The players know what they're supposed to do, but for whatever reason, you have key players. These aren't backups. These are your frontline guys gifting possessions to the opponent and taking points off the board on a potential scoring drive.
That goes for players who make interceptions as well. Hang on to the damn ball.
I mean, that's 3 times now between Valentine doing it twice and then McKinney doing it yesterday. Guys, I'm begging you. I understand you all have visions of Deion Sanders in your head, but secure the football for goodness sake.
Yeah, crazy. But you get to the core problems, and Nags, we were just talking before about how everybody bases things on vibes, and the vibes this year are so much different than last year. Even though the Packers have a better record, and the vibes aren't as good. They just aren't.
They're not. It's true
because of what's happened in the last couple of weeks.
It's true. It's very true.
And Jaden Reed, for example, like last year couldn't get enough. Look at this guy, Swiss Army knife. He's going to be
breaking
awesome.
Sterling Sharp's rookie reception record.
Yes, and now it's like he's making us forget everything that we liked about him.
Big time, in a big way. And some of it is, look, the way he's being utilized. I mean, that 4th down call, shoot it into the sun. If I see one more end around in a gotta-have-it situation, I'm going to just pass out. I cannot believe that's the best you got on a 4th and gotta-have-it.
Well, all the kvetching we're doing about that defense and the hole in the middle of the field, how about just I don't know. I'm just going to throw this out there. How about on 3rd and 2, you get a first down and then you walk down and let Brandon McManus kick the field goal
and that's why
and win the damn ball game.
That's what I'm talking about when I say the coaching staff bears the brunt of this, because in that situation, how on 3rd down you don't call the timeout is beyond. You've got 3 of them. How many times have we lamented how Matt LaFleur wastes timeouts, especially in the second half? Finally, you get to the end of a game. You've got all 3. You don't get to take them home with you. Use them.
Yes.
Use it on 3rd down there where it's 3rd and 2, and make sure you've got your best favorite gotta have it call that's not an end around, and get the first down. Because once you do that, you have total control of the football game, and the Bears never get it back. You milk the clock. McManus kicks the field goal. We all walk out of Lambeau singing the Bears still suck.
And you're like, God, the Bears just handed that one.
Instead, you hurry up. You hand the ball off. You get stuffed. You lose yardage. And then Matt doesn't even let the clock roll down before he calls a timeout. When the Bears have 1 left, make them call the timeout. It blew my mind.
It was. It was weird.
We have a Dick on the talk and text line brings up an interesting point. He said, why did they even tackle on that last play across the middle?
Yeah.
Right.
You could have
let him drag you for a little bit.
And then because he would have had to run to the sidelines.
Lay on him. Yeah. Or
most likely he's going to give himself up at some point.
Sure. But you just stand around.
In fact, I think he's doing it right as Valentine gets him on the ground.
And they had.
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Laid on top of him, and you could have done some.
That's what should have happened right there.
Yes.
Or he could have taken a knee, and he could have just stood there.
But okay, so Nags, the clock management after they got the ball and stuff, and there was guys like, well, Malik Willis should have let the play clock run down. I'm not about that until you actually get into field goal range. Like, I'm not burning that clock yet because you had all 3 timeouts. Like, you could have turn it over and then try to get it back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Is like, I didn't have a problem until the third down.
The third down is what
that
killed
play
me.
has to work, and then you're winning the game. You're
That's
just
why I
walking
take a
in.
timeout there and make sure I'm on the same page. Everybody's on the same
I'm with
page,
you.
and
I'm
I've got
with
my
you.
go-to call.
And
that's what I want.
And clock management, game management, never been LaFleur's particularly strong suit.
No.
He was better at it in his first year or two than he is now,
It's
which
crazy, right? Like, it's odd because
hard.
in early on in his head coaching career, I thought he made the right call more often than not to go for it on fourth down, right? And he was somewhat aggressive in that regard. But now we've gotten to the point where it's almost always, not always, but almost always, oh, we're going to try and draw him off sides. And that doesn't work. We'll take the penalty and we punt, or we kick the field goal.
Yep.
I don't understand this kind of regression in thinking, because I thought he was ahead of the curve a couple years ago. Now it feels like he's playing scared more than trying to go get and win the game.
Let's not bury the positive. He did win a challenge yesterday, which was a nice, change.
One that he never should have had to throw. I mean, my goodness, talk about botching it by the NFL. That was terrible. But yes, finally, victory with a challenge flag.
Yes.
Do you think it could be a situation where, because he's calling the plays, he's thinking the next play ahead and he's not exactly and precisely in the moment?
Sometimes that could be the case, no doubt about it. I know probably every play caller struggles with that, but
sure.
Again, how long has he been doing this now?
All right. So, but the inclination for new coaches is that I got to control everything and I don't trust anybody. And then you got to start to learn to delegate, right?
You would hope.
And you would hope you'd have a guy that you trusted right next to you telling you that stuff, right? Because
yes. Well, and that's what's so disheartening is you made Rich Bisaccia your assistant head coach, while the special teams are fluctuating from competent to terrible to pretty good to back to terrible. You've got an assistant head coach, and you have that shot of the two of them talking through whatever it is they were talking through while you're burning a timeout at the worst possible time. How do you not know all the information prior to the start of that drive? How do you not know? Okay, this is the line to gain that we have to reach to make sure we've got McManus in comfortable range. He was apparently hitting from 57 in pregame warmups. So whatever that line of scrimmage is that you need to gain, that is your target. That discussion should have already been had. But it looked like they were like hemming and hawing about or should we kick? Should we go for it? How that all doesn't play out before the drive even starts, I don't know.
You know, Nags, when you look at the coaching staff of the Packers, now versus olden times, right? In olden times, they had like 7 coaches.
Yep. And
now they've got like 42.
Yes. Yep.
Nags, I'm going to create your next career. We just have to convince the Packers need it.
Oh gosh, what's this?
A clock management
Madden
coach.
consultant.
A clock management consultant, clock management coach. All you do is you sit and you watch the clock and you tap the coach on the shoulder and go, all right, let this run.
Some teams have that. Some teams
really?
Oh, yeah.
Some teams have that.
Absolutely.
And look, I think the Packers have a couple of guys, both on the sideline and in the booth, who are good in that regard.
Really? I didn't know that it actually existed as a standalone position.
I mean, maybe not standalone, but certainly there are guys contributing.
Yeah, eyes in the sky and stuff. Yes. All right. So next, here's a question, an existential type question that I love to ask.
Boy.
As frustrated as everybody is with what they saw, and like again, it's vomitous to lose to that Bears outfit in the manner that they did.
Yep.
Think of how much worse it would be if the Commanders had not scored to beat Dallas, and then the 6th seed would have been there for the
taking, and they didn't take it.
I think it's a multiplier by 10 at least. In terms of frustration,
I think there's certain aspects of the fan base that probably would have been frustrated. I mean, I know there's a bunch of people that I've talked to throughout the week who were resigned to facing Philly and thought that the 6th seed, like, okay, fine, yes, that would be attainable, but
okay,
I don't know, man. At this point, I think Philly seemed preordained. So yes, you're right. It would have been exciting and a possibility if the Cowboys had helped us out, but they didn't. So it's what it should have been.
So it was a moot point, or as Phil Garney say, a mute point. But yeah, the thing is with that, Nags, like that whole thing, the Philly thing, I was railing against this at the end of last week. I love it. We talked to you Monday, but at the end of the week, I need you to help me in some of my rants.
Right.
Because the idea that they absolutely can't win in Philly and they absolutely would have been guaranteed a win in LA against the Rams is absurd.
Yeah. Absolute, patently absurd. Look, it's going to be tough regardless. And it is about matchups. And I do think, man, I know this is blasphemy, but The Packers, one thing that they've done well consistently over the second half of this season is defend the run. Now, I know Saquon Barkley is a very different animal, obviously. And look, Philadelphia, I don't know what's happening with their quarterback spot. Hurts is still in the concussion protocol. Their backup was hurt. Now they got McKee start. Like, I understand that the idea of getting the 6th seed, getting to the Rams. Like, last time we beat the Rams, they didn't have either of their superstar receivers who are now fully healthy and ripping it up. And also, that defensive line, particularly the interior, is playing much, much better than it was earlier this season. So I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but you're going to be on the road and in a tough environment and facing a really good opponent regardless. So, man, if I have one matchup I want to kind of lean into, it's the one where, okay, at least the part of the team for the Green Bay Packers that has actually worked has been their run defense. So that gives me a modicum of hope.
Saquon found the end zone in Sao Paulo, as I recall, but he didn't carve them up in between the 20s. Right?
He had a number of nice big runs, but he didn't consistently break off like big chunks of yardage. That is correct. Now, both of these teams are very different, as you know, from week one till now. But hey, I'm saying, like, back early in the year, the run defense wasn't playing nearly as well as it is today.
All right. Which fan base, another existential question for you, which fan base is in more turmoil today, Packers Nation or Vikings fans?
Oh, I gotta think that's Packers. Just, I don't know, probably because I'm into it more. I'm obviously digesting and ingesting it a lot more. But, you know, the Vikings, they lost to Detroit at home earlier this season. You got to think, yes, no doubt, Sam Darnold lays an egg. It's hard to watch, and the Detroit Lions basically went after them. But if you're a Vikings fan, I don't know. Maybe, but I haven't seen it nearly as much.
I think Vikings fans are probably more gut shot.
And now they're going on Monday night to play the Rams, who they lost to during the regular season already.
Legitimately. Right? Like, I don't want to hear any nonsense about the missed call at the end of the play or the end of the game. Like, they legit got beat up.
They lost. Yeah. They lost. And Darnold was and so what's happened with them, and I said this to a Vikings fan friend of mine, I can't wait till next year when they lose 5 close games in a row and the market corrects because they've won every game by the skin of their teeth this year. That they can possibly win.
Regression to the mean is a hell of a drug, man.
Yes, but both fan bases are looking at it, Nags, and they're like, well, what we saw all year was a mirage. We weren't that good. And like the Packers, like, look who they beat. They ran roughshod over the worst division in ball. Right. I know you are what your record says, but you question now, what did we see? Like, are they this good?
Although all of that said, they're going to get into the home of the 2 seed as 3.5-point dogs. I'll take that. That's a puncher's chance. That's all I want.
All I know about Minnesota is that whatever happens, the next 2 games that they will have to play will be against teams that beat them.
Love that. Love
that. I do.
That. But of course, the next game the Packers have to play is against a team that beat them. So
we're not W.
All right, Nags, any parting thoughts, Nags? And by the way, Nags, I think it's already back. It's up to 5 now. I think people are starting.
Oh, is it 5? It would open at like.
It opened at 3.5, and I
thought it opened at like 2.5, and then went to 3.5.
I think it's nudging up to 5 now.
Christian Watson news has moved the line, obviously.
Ooh, that is a tough blow. You think Quay Walker, Evan Williams, and any of those guys could be back? And like LaFleur kind of left the door open that they might try to find somebody. Like,
I don't know what
wide receivers are us or what?
No, of course they've got 2 open roster spots because of Jair and Watson, so that they could conceivably bring someone in. I don't see the cavalry arriving or anything like that. But hey, I know we got to go. But real quickly, Matt was asked about the quarterbacks, both of whom got hurt yesterday, and he was non-committal about how much they'd be able to practice this week. That is a big yikes, because if Jordan can't practice, that is not going to be pretty on Sunday in Philly.
Clip Richards.
Very true. Very true. Nags, keep carrying the G, brother. It's playoff time.
Let's go 1-0 this week, boys. Come on now.
Absolutely.
When they lost in Sao Paulo,
champions face no one.
That's it. When they lost in Sao Paulo, everybody said we're going to see them again, and here we
are. Yep. Let's go. Get it done.
All right. Thanks, Nags.
Love it, boys. Thanks a lot. Talk to you next week.
Talk to you.